You hold a crying newborn in a quiet, dark room. The glowing screen of your phone says it is 3 in the morning. You are completely exhausted, entirely alone, and wondering how anyone survives this. For roughly 99% of human history, this exact moment was mathematically impossible. For nearly 300,000 years, your ancestors never raised a baby alone. Today, modern parents experience unprecedented levels of burnout, isolation, and postpartum anxiety. A recent study by the Pew Research Center reveals that modern parents feel more overwhelmed than any generation before them. Yet, the evolutionary blueprint of your body and mind expects a completely different reality. To understand what went wrong, we have to look back 50,000 years. What was it actually like to raise a child in the deep past? How did your ancestors keep tiny, vulnerable infants alive in a world full of apex predators? Let us reconstruct a day in the life of a prehistoric family. You wake up inside a temporary shelter made of branches and mammoth hide. The air is crisp, and the sky is just turning a soft orange. You do not check a schedule, and you do not rush to prepare for a commute. Instead, you look down at the infant cradled against your chest. This baby has not left your side since the moment it was born. In fact, anthropomorphic evidence shows that prehistoric infants were held almost continuously. Anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy notes that for hunter-gatherers, a baby was in physical contact with someone for up to 90% of the day. They were carried in simple slings made of animal skin or woven plant fibers. Your infant does not sleep in a separate crib across the hall. The modern concept of training a baby to sleep alone in a dark room would have seemed like madness to your ancestors. To leave a baby alone at night was to invite predators. Instead, you sleep in a tight communal cluster around a central fire. Your baby sleeps right next to you, waking up frequently to nurse. Because nursing happened on demand, prehistoric mothers did not count hours or track ounces. Anthropological studies of modern hunter-gatherers, like the San people of southern Africa, show that infants nurse up to 4 times every single hour. This frequent nursing acted as a natural contraceptive, spacing births out by roughly 3 to 4 years. But you are not doing this alone. As the sun rises higher, the entire camp comes to life. This is where the true secret of human survival becomes visible. An evolutionary biologist named Melanie Martin has studied the stark differences between modern parenting and our ancestral past. In a prehistoric tribe, a mother was never the sole caregiver. Instead, humans evolved a strategy known as cooperative breeding. You hand your infant to an elderly grandmother while you gather firewood. A teenage cousin carries the baby while you dig for nutrient-rich tubers. An uncle carries the child on his shoulders while walking through the brush. Everyone in the group of 20 to 30 people has a direct stake in keeping this child alive. Anthropologists call these alternative caregivers alloparents. In a typical day, a prehistoric baby might be held, comforted, and even nursed by 4 or 5 different women. This constant web of support changed everything. It meant that a mother was never isolated, never completely depleted, and never forced to choose between her own survival and her child's well-being. But what happened as the child grew older? Let us look at how these children learned to navigate a dangerous world. There were no schools, no textbooks, and no structured playdates. Instead, prehistoric childhood was defined by absolute freedom and mixed-age playgroups. Dr. Peter Gray, a research psychologist specializing in childhood evolution, notes that free play in mixed age groups was the primary vehicle for education. A 4-year-old would follow an 8-year-old, who would follow a 12-year-old. Together, they explored the edges of the camp, tracked small lizards, and experimented with making miniature stone tools. They learned through imitation, not instruction. If a child wanted to learn how to identify edible berries, they did not sit through a lecture. They watched an elder do it, then tried it themselves. There was no concept of failure, no grades, and no artificial pressure. However, this idyllic scene carries a dark, counterintuitive twist. While prehistoric parenting provided immense emotional and social support, the physical reality was brutal. Archaeological data from Upper Paleolithic sites shows an incredibly high infant mortality rate. Roughly 40 to 50% of children did not survive to adulthood. Disease, sudden climate shifts, accidents, and predators were constant threats. Your ancestors did not parent out of a sense of modern sentimentality. They parented for survival. The intense closeness, the constant holding, and the communal care were necessary defenses against a hostile world. When agriculture emerged roughly 10,000 years ago, this entire system collapsed. As humans settled into permanent villages, tribes fractured into isolated nuclear families. The sprawling network of aunts, uncles, and grandparents disappeared, replaced by four walls and a closed door. This brings us back to your quiet, dark room at 3 in the morning. The exhaustion you feel is not a personal failure. It is the natural reaction of an evolutionary biology that was never designed to parent in isolation. You were built to raise children surrounded by a tribe, sitting around a campfire, sharing the load with 20 other people. When you feel overwhelmed by the demands of modern parenting, remember your ancestors. Your body is still searching for the campfire, and your mind is still listening for the voices of the tribe. You look down at your baby, rock them back to sleep, and wait for the sun to rise when your body is ready.